Hi, this is Kevin from Stock TA. Taking a little bit of a break from our podcasting, but we're back. We have merged and done a deal with Global One Media Group, and we are really excited to be working with them. And there are a lot of new exciting products that we're working on, some updates to the website that will be coming soon. But I've had a couple of requests to get these videos back up and running. So this weekend, I'm going to look at the gold and silver mining sector. It's done really well in the past couple months. We did a video at the end of December, early January, talking about some really good setups, and some of those have come to fruition. But real quick before we get going, just quick disclaimer: this is not investment advice. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. We are not registered stock or financial advisors, and please consult one before putting a dollar of your hard-earned money into these crazy markets. So the first one we're going to look at is GLD. It's almost at 300. It's bullish overall, bullish short term. Pulled back a little bit going into the weekend. But this is a beautiful looking chart. I mean, it has medium support at 287, medium support to almost 280, medium support at 273. I mean, a lot of support. Chart is not really stretched. It's gone up, you know, higher highs, higher lows. It hasn't hockey sticked and gone vertical, consolidated. RSI is only at 45, so it is not by any means overbought. Had a bearish candle going into Friday, but that could be more of, some of the tariff stuff that came out. But, you know, inflation data came in a little softer than expected, but, there's still a lot of macro risk, geopolitical risk, and I think gold has sniffed that out and done really well. We have GDX closed at 49.7, again, pulled back a little bit Friday. Has a little bit of overhead resistance now where it had none most of last week. This chart is a little more stretched. I mean, there's not really much for support until you get to 42.56, and then there's more heavier, medium to heavy support at 38.55. Little more mixed, not as bullish as GLD. But again, this is a really good looking chart. It's gone up, it's consolidated. So this could be a consolidation phase. GDXJ, it's a junior ETF, still bullish, some good trend scores. This one doesn't have as much support until 55.34, a little bit, just a one for overhead resistance, so not much. But has done really well in the past. If you look at it from January at the start of the year, like it's had a good run. Silver's done a little not as well in the past week or so. I think a lot of that is people who trade silver tend to use leverage and it moves around quicker. And I think when there are some rapid, changes in prices, and the news was, flipping from morning to afternoon with tariffs and what's going on. I think some people just had to get out and they sold what they could. And, I think silver usually sells off quicker than gold. So this one is down to neutral trend and it's been losing trend score. It's at 29.19, has medium support at 28.83, medium resistance at 29.22. And there's still a lot of overhead resistance. The 31.17 is definitely a level to keep an eye on if it does break out on Monday. SIL has done a little better. That's bullish overall, neutral short term, but still has a positive score. This one is starting to get some overhead resistance. Not as, not as much support in the near term, but the support levels are a little higher. So if this pulls back to 38, 37, 36, it should find some really solid support there. I don't know if it'll pull all the way back to 32. SILJ, neutral across the board. This one's been kind of range bound. It's been, buy a little above 10 and sell at 13. Heavy support at 11.72, so that's a level to keep an eye on. And then there's medium resistance at 12.7, 13.2. So again, it still could be range bound in the immediate future. Wheat and precious metals, I actually own this, have owned it for a little bit. Remains bullish. Pulled back a little bit on Thursday and Friday, along with everything else, but not much for overhead resistance. chart's starting to get a little stretched, not much for support until you get into the 74, 72 level. So this could be a consolidation phase. But it's one of my favorite companies. Not a buy endorsement at all, but I just wanted to close that I own some. Agnico Eagle. I mean, I remember when this was a $45 stock. It's now at almost 120. Still bullish overall in short term. This chart's starting to get a little stretched too, so I wouldn't be surprised if this consolidates. Not much for support confluence until you get down to 101. I don't know if it'll go all the way back there, but it's just something to keep an eye on. The RSI is only at 43, so it's not too stretched. But I like to see more, you go back to GLD, like I like to see higher numbers on this right side for support and closer to it. Pan American Silver, I also own this. This is neutral, has kind of flipped back and forth between neutral and bullish. I've closed at 25.88, medium support at 25.58. So that's a number to keep an eye on. Not much for overhead resistance. RSI is oversold or getting to it at only 31. So this could be a good buy the dip opportunity. SVM is Silver Corp. Closed at 3.76, neutral overall, bearish short term, sold off a little bit at the end of the week, closed at 3.76. This one has medium support at 3.68. RSI is down to 46. So that's one to keep an eye on. I mean, if it pulls back there, there's not a whole lot of resistance there's no resistance between 3.68 and 4. So it could move up pretty quick. And these are all small numbers. So this one has pretty good torque to silver prices. So, it's one of my favorites. I don't own any now, but it's on my watch list. B2 Gold Corp, neutral overall, neutral short term. Not much for support confluence until you get below 3, which is a little worrisome. More medium support at 2.63 and 2.85. I don't know if it'll go that low. But it's just one to keep an eye on, as this one tends to move pretty quick both ways. Vox Royalty Corp is one of my favorite companies. I've been in and out of this the last few years. That's bullish overall, bullish short term. Closed at 2.96, has medium support at closed at 2.97, has medium support at 2.96. So that's right there. Got to watch the open to see if it breaks below that. There's not much support till you get down to 285 or 280. But a lot of the indicators on it are still bullish. And you see, has pretty good support at 2.28. So this is one that's been, you buy when it's a little under 230 and you sell it at 3, and it's been a nice swing trade for me in the past. Osisco Gold Royalties, bullish overall, neutral short term. This one doesn't have a ton of liquidity, so when it moves, it can have some, wide ranges throughout the day. It's picked up volume wise, I think, this year. But if you look at it, it's not a heavily traded stock. So this is more of a buy and hold and not a get in and out of every day. Not much for support. It closed at 22.40. Like not much for support until you get down to 21. And then more at 20.5, 20.1. So that's one to keep an eye on. In the past, in the last year, if you look at it, it's been a buy at 18 and a sell when it gets to 20. So not a huge range there, but just want to do a quick video, do a recap of, some of the gold and silver miners. I mean, gold closed over 3,200, silver closed just over 32. All these companies have a lot of, free cash flow that they're generating, and, inflation's been sticky, and with the uncertainty with geopolitical reasons, gold and silver has been, a favorite for some bigger institutional funds, and there's definitely been money poured into the sector. So I think it's a good area to keep an eye on. And please check us out at stockta.com and give us a follow. And best of luck with your trading.